Good morning, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet, and I have on the call with me Natasha Telger.
Good morning.
All right. You got to take a cue better there, hon.
Yeah, I was on mute.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that happens. Okay, so what we're going to do today, I don't see anything specific that you guys want to talk about directly, so we're just going to dive into our list of things that we want to talk about. I know that some of the offices had been having problems with doing their invites, doing one right after another. And thank you to Vicki Egley for getting on a couple of webinars with us. She and our programmer Chris and I worked through the issues, and then Chris was able to fix that. So now you should be able to go invite a person, just click the invite button again to put in your next person, and it should be seamless for you now. So that's a great thing. The other thing that we want to do is we want to have you all acknowledge the fact that you have read the note that is in the pod today here. It's in blue ink. We have been asked by the study people to only use the study ID or the WorkNet ID when we are communicating by email. So make sure that you're telling us if you're having an issue with someone. Please, in the email that you send to epic@illinoisworknet.com, please tell us, are you using the study ID and what that number is, or are you using the WorkNet ID and what that number is, or are you using the DHS ID and what that number is. So you have three options to give us a number, and we can identify the person and take care of any issues that might be happening with that person. So that's very important. We want to make sure that everybody has had a chance to read that. So I'm going to be quiet for about 10 seconds here. All right. Okay. So now we'll leave that up there afterwards. So if you haven't had a chance to read it later, we will. One of the things that we want to show you today is a new feature that we've just gotten fixed or up and running, or it will be up and running later today. I haven't seen it live yet, but it will be there. So this is a really cool feature. And I see Tamara has her hand raised. Do you have a question, Tamara? If so, type it into the chat pod so that we can answer it for you. On the dashboard, on the intake dashboard, we have a spot where we have the missed orientation. So right here in yellow on the line, it says missed orientation. Now, in time and test.
Can you zoom into your, can you make your computer thing a little bit bigger?
Sure thing. How's that? Is that better?
Yep.
That's about as big as I can get it without taking it off of my screen.
Nope, looks good.
Okay. So now, under missed orientation, these are people that you may have invited that did not show up to orientation, which in many areas we have been having to worry about, okay, well, those are just people that we've missed. But now we have a really great opportunity for you here. If you click on this number by the missed orientation, we have, look at this, over in the right-hand corner. I'm going to zoom in some more just so that you can see it right here. We have a new button here that says Reinvite All Customers. Woohoo! Who's excited about this? Raise your hand. All right, we've got some people that are excited about this, and you don't even know all the details yet. So I'm really happy about that. Okay, so what we've got here is, thanks, Mara, we have the ability to filter by region, by office, by other advanced search functions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter by Region 5 because they have several offices, and then I'm going to filter by Centralia, and then I'm going to open up my advanced search, and I'm going to filter by orientation start date. So if I do June, let's do May 1 to June 1, and missed orientation, then all I have to do is click search, and let me zoom back out so that you can see this a little bit better. Oh, I don't have anybody in there, sorry. Let me get into somebody where I do have a date. It keeps the missed orientation, so then all you have to do is jump up here and change your date. So this way you can go in and check to see who do you have that's maybe missed orientation between the 1st and the 16th.
Since you're on test, I'd probably go back to March, because that's when we did the training.
I think I cleaned out most of those people.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. So here I have Morticia Adams, who missed her orientation between June 1st and June 16th. And so now what I can do is I can re-invite her. Now this is great, and I can pick a new date. So if I want to invite her for the 17th, I can. That's if she happens to show up right here today. But otherwise, I may need to invite her for the 5 days out so that we can allow for mailing of that 1721. So if the person's sitting right there with you and is showing up for an orientation, you can invite them all right now, or you can invite them the 5 days in advance. So we'll invite her for June 22nd. Now let me show you how this functions even better when you've got a whole lot of people. So I'm going to pick Region 1. I'm not going to have to select an office with them, and I'm just going to search. So what this gives me is there's 50 people on this page, and there are 3 pages. So that means I have over 100 people that I can invite. Now this is great if you have room for that over 100 people. This gives you the ability to re-invite all of them at one time. So I just pick in the date. I put it for June 21st. I save. Boom. They're all invited. This is a great way for you to go back and grab those people that maybe they just didn't show up. Maybe they're mandatory people and they didn't show up for that first orientation meeting, and you've just never thought about going back to get them just because you've got more people that you can move forward with. So, oh, I see Christina's applauding. So is everybody happy with this? I'm like ecstatic about this. I think this is just a cool, cool, cool feature that we've been able to add. So kudos to our programmers and to everybody who thought about that this was a great idea to have. So is everybody okay with this? Do you need to go in and practice with it at all? If you do, use your test account that we gave you during your training. If not, if you want to just go back in, yes, Chris, you can use those for people who might be requesting a return appointment. So now, the one thing that I have discovered, if you use the advanced feature, the advanced search features, you can put in dates and filter them that way. The name, if you're going to use a name, so if I pick Region 1, and if I pick the office, and if I pick a date for June 1 to, oh, I just invited all those people, so it's not going to work. Let me pick a different region up here. I'm going to pick Region 2, and we're going to do March 1 to June 17th. And I'm going to put in here a capital B. So what that's going to do is it's going to give me everybody that has a B in their name. So that's the only way that I can figure out right now how we can use a letter filter to filter it down a little bit. Otherwise, you might have a whole lot of people. So that's, we may be able to refine that, but if you're doing this on a more consistent basis, you won't have those huge numbers in there. So the first thing to do would be to start with the date filter. You have to make sure that it says missed orientation. Use the date filters, and then hit the search. Then you see who's on here, then click reinvite. And it gives you the ability to pick one date for all of those people. And then, like Natasha just said in the chat pod, you do have the ability to pick just the person and update them through the intake activities portion of their profile. So right here on the intake activities, I can change this here as well. So that's a great option as well. But if you're trying to invite 20 people all at one time, you don't want to take the time to go to each person's individual account. All right, so can we move on to the next item? Is everybody good with this bulk invite? Can you pick multiple clients to invite but not the who list, the whole list? That's where I'm saying if you filter by date, right now that's the only way to filter it out. But from there, you could click on the person's individual profile from the list that you get and then just pick them. Right now, we don't have the ability to do a check mark and invite those. But we might be able to investigate that down the road. We'll keep working on this to try and make it a little bit better. All right. Next thing that we want to do, new item on dashboard. Let's go to the intake dashboard. We have a missed consent meeting. I'm trying to get there. Right here, we have missed consent meeting. So what this does is if they were scheduled for their follow-up meeting with you and they missed the meeting, then you can click on the number to see who it is. If they are mandatory, you will follow up the way that you need to follow up with them. If they are voluntary, then you would talk to them, contact them, and see what's going on, why did they miss their consent meeting. And then if you need whatever's next steps you need to take, you can do that. So we just wanted to show you that we have, so we can track those as well. All right, computer, let's move along here. All right, so that is under the consent section of the intake dashboard. So we have needs to be scheduled for consent or missed consent meeting. And then if they're completed consent and random assignment, they show up in the green arrow. And last but not least on our session this morning, we want to show you, I just want to reiterate this for the people who potentially didn't see this the first time. We have a new step system on our overall page, on our orientation page, sorry. Under step 1 is where you would still show the videos. Under step 2, we have the training programs. And not everybody in the field has seen this. So this is an opportunity where we can show you again that this is a really good filter for those of your orientation attendees who may or may not be suitable or eligible for the program. And the one way that we can calculate this out is, right now if we look at this list, I have all regions selected. As you scroll down the list, everything is here. Everything is here. All of the programs across the entire state are here. So what you want to do is you want to narrow that search result down, because somebody up in Chicago can't go down to Carbondale or Marion or even maybe outside of Chicago. So what you want to do is you want to tell them which region they need to pick. So they're going to pick, I'm going to use Chicago for the example. So they would pick the Chicago region. Come on, baby, work. Try it again. All right. Then what this does is, oh, sure. Let's look. Let's use. I'll do Region 5 in just a minute. Okay, Joe. Then what we can do is we see on here that we have programs 4 for architecture, 4 for business management. What are they actually interested in? They would only pick the programs where there are actual programs available. So business management might be one. Maybe hospitality and tourism might be another. Then maybe manufacturing might be a third. Or maybe they're interested in law, public safety. We have a question, for programs that you don't have anything, will programs be added? That's possible, but not right now. All of these areas are considered career pathways that we have other resources for on Illinois WorkNet. And so we use this system, we're designing the system so that we can use it in multiple forms and fashions. And if a program does get added down the road, then it would show up here. And Natasha's also typing, so she might have an even better answer for this. So now, the next very important area is find programs that work with your circumstances. Not everybody will be able to fit in each of those programs. So what you see here is, I cannot pass a tuberculosis test. I cannot pass a hepatitis test. So I'm going to click that one. I am legally blind. If I couldn't see legally, I would check that. Do I have more than 3 moving violations? I am not able to get a driver's license. I am not interested in careers that require a drug test. I'm going to check that. I am listed in the sexual offender registry, or I have a felony conviction. I'm going to check that. So those 3 defining factors will limit what programs I can or cannot participate in because of my background. Now, if I'm in the audience and I've got a laptop right next to me with somebody else sitting right there, I may or may not want that neighbor of mine to see what I've checked here. So I can either show or hide my circumstances. So this is an opportunity that it will still be there, but it's not going to be available for somebody to see it if they're sitting right next to you. So what this just did with me having these circumstances checked, it limited my program selection. So as I'm looking at this, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 programs. I have 5 programs available to me. Nothing in manufacturing, even though that was one of my interests, and and food service, culinary arts, customer service, or administrative excellence. Now, this can help you as the orientation supervisor talk to somebody and say, well, you know, you might be interested in that manufacturing, but your interests or your background are preventing you from actually being able to participate in one of those programs because of the requirements of many of the jobs that you might be able to get. So this could be a way for you to filter out people before they actually take the application, do the application, and go through the process before they would get randomly assigned. So who's been using this in this way? Raise your hand if you've been using this tool in that manner. Great. Great, great, great. All right, so now let's go back. Let's go back up to the top, and let's change to Region 5, and we're going to leave Business Administration because there's one on there. I'm going to take Hospitality off. I'm going to do Health Science, take off Law because they don't have that. Manufacturing's still there. I'm going to take off I cannot pass a hepatitis test, and then I'm going to say I have 3 or more moving violations. And I'm going to take off the felony conviction. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 programs that I could potentially participate in. So then if I click on the program, it shows me the information about that program that I would need to know. Now, and Joseph asked about how far it is to training, and Natasha answered, right now we don't have the distance piece in this portion, but we do use it for the eligibility review. So when your customer is sitting with the case manager, the case worker, they would then review that piece in the dashboard. Let me get to an eligibility piece here.
Yeah, and I can talk to the guys about maybe adding a zip code field. It depends, yeah. We can add a zip code field and then either show the distance from that zip code with the mileage, or for them to display, only programs within a certain area of the zip code.
That would be good. Could it be based on, so on the distance here, it shows how far away a program would be. So
yeah, since they're not logged in at this point in time,
right.
It'd probably just be like enter your zip code and then maybe not limit it, but just show them the distance away.
Yeah, that would be a good option. A case in progress, or a project in progress. That's what we all need to be working on here, thinking how to make this better. All right, so I think that's about all we had to discuss this morning. Do we have any other questions from the audience? And we'll get, you do have a question, Joseph? Or you were typing about the distance piece. Okay. All right. We will get directions up on the...
No, he says no, I haven't.
Oh, he has a question. All right. So type your question in, and while you're typing, we will get the directions up on the partner resources for the bulk invite so that you have that available to you. And we'll have it up there as soon as we have the piece live. Okay, Joseph is typing. And Leslie is typing. So I'm going to minimize my screen for right now. Give you a chance to check in if you didn't. Give you a chance to read the option. And is there anything else that we need to talk about if you can want to check that box? What do you do for the people that don't really take it seriously? I had a person who, from start to finish, completed the NOCTI in 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Seriously? Yeah, that 10 minutes is a little hard. The computer doesn't even go that fast. Joseph, are you mandatory area? Well, I guess you know what you do with them then.
I mean, I guess the question is, like, why? I mean, did they just not take it seriously, or did they have, like, significant challenges with the reading? Because if they really can't read it, then, is it because of English as a second language, or is it because their reading level's so low? And if it's really, really low, this may not be the program for them. If it's English as a second language, then that's good to know, because then we can mark them as English as a second language and put them in the places where they, things that can help them. Or do they just aren't really interested?
So he said he was a slow reader, but he didn't say he didn't want to do it. Now, I do know that in one of the mid-state areas where I was, they had somebody that said they were in college and got mad at the NOCTI test. So they kind of did a haphazard job at it, and their scores were very low. But again, they were done in about 30 minutes because they just kind of gave up.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because we don't use the NOCTI to eliminate them from, being eligible. It's just to identify potentially if they need a bridge. So, but it, gives you an opportunity to ask, I guess, more questions. And since we're not doing the TABE up front, it's kind of tough, but you would, probably be the best one to probably know the customer, especially in your region, know them more personally. So I think I would leave that up to you as to, if they would be recommended or not recommended. If you could kind of get a sense of, if they're really interested in the programs, or if they just, really have a tough time with reading. I'm assuming a lot of people don't want to admit that. You maybe explain to them that there are programs, they can help up, increase their reading level, but, maybe they, if they don't feel that if that's a good match for them, now's the time, just to let us know. And we can, maybe there's other programs that can help them with getting their reading level up.
Well, one point is maybe that's why they have a hard time having a job, is because of their reading level. So if they could read better, they might be able to get or keep a job better or longer. And what Chris typed in here, it gives the CBO the opportunity to determine whether or not they need some adult basic education before they can put them into the actual training program for the job. We have a lot of people typing right now. I hate dead air. Should I sing?
I mean, if we're getting to the point where there's multiple questions, and if we need to unmute, we can definitely do that. I didn't know if it was just a couple questions or. If you vote for unmuting, I can do that.
Could the no programs recommended on the eligibility review be put in red on the...
Okay. The no program recommended. Okay. Yeah.
That's a good suggestion. For stop,
Okay.
for stop, we don't do randomization. If they don't, Winnebago, if you don't have any programs, you don't randomize them. All right. Okay.
Well, unmute. Yeah, I can unmute, definitely. I muted everybody. Let me unmute everybody.
Your microphone has been turned on.
There you go.
So let's do Leslie first.
I think that still is the same point as if we add the zip code to the field, to that training program page.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, Joseph?
Yeah, all I was getting at pertaining to the second half of the stuff I was asking the questions about was that whenever we're looking at people who, I give people many opportunities. I give them opportunities before we get to the videos. I give them opportunities after the videos. Whenever they're reviewing programs, before they do the application, about opting out at any point in time if they have no interest in being a part of this. And it was just one of those, it was mind-blowing to have the guy be the last one to start the test and finish it 10 minutes later, that I didn't know if that is something that could be addressed, not on the aspects of him potentially having a learning disability or issues with reading, but as in, to me, I thought the whole idea is we wanted people who are going to actively be a part of this, that they want to actually do this, not just do it because they showed up that day. That was kind of what I was getting at. Like, I get helping people.
I
going
totally
that extra step.
agree. I agree. That's one of the reasons why we have the NOCD, is to get people to, show initiative, like they are going to complete, to put in the extra effort, to kind of show that they have the initiative and want to really be in the program. So I totally agree with that. But we don't have anything in place to say that you can't be in it.
Right, exactly.
Because,
and I get that. I was just thinking as far as how far are we able to go, because I'm going to do follow-ups. I had 4 people show, and I had 4 people complete it, which was amazing because we always have somebody opt out. So all 4 people completed, so whenever I do a follow-up with them in a week, my question, a week from this upcoming Monday, my question is, can I address that with, hey, you went so fast on the NOCD.
I think it would be definitely good to address it. At least to say, hey, we are looking at this. We did notice that you only took 10 minutes, and unfortunately you scored really low, so it's going to limit your options around. I don't know how you want to say it, but, they just say, before you get into this, are you willing to commit? Because there's going to be times, you're going to have to go to training. You're going to have to do this, do that, the other, whatever the case may be for that person's situation.
Yeah, and I'll say 2 more things, and I'll kind of stop because I know Leslie's typing there. So, the thing that I was initially talking about was I understand the region, but the separating it where even if it was Region 5 Marion, Region 5 East St. Louis would be such a big difference for us because it would take out the 3 different, I guess there is business admin, hospitality and tourism, and there's actually one for the health science that's actually East St. Louis only and one for the manufacturing that's East St. Louis only. And if it could pull those out, it would be less clicking on their end because, whenever you're telling people what's going on, they're absorbing as much as they can, but this is all, new information for them, so they're not going to catch everything. but I still consistently almost have on a weekly to a biweekly basis that somebody puts their first option as being hospitality and tourism, and I sit down with them and I'm like, was there anything else that you had any want to do? Because that was one that was East St. Louis only, and unfortunately we just can't send you there. It's 90 miles, 180 miles round trip. We can't do it. So that was where...
It should be showing up in the, okay, so there's two things. One, I think by adding the zip code field and doing the distance from that particular zip code should be helpful because it's for you guys and Region 4 would need that same type of feature. And then the other thing would be in the application, I believe it says, like, I can't remember the exact text, but let's say it says, like, hospitality, something like within 25 miles.
Right. In the actual
you know what I
application,
mean?
yeah.
So they could be,
Less than and then more than. Well, that's not stopping them from putting more than, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody else is going with that one, but it still is populating, less than, more than. And I am breaking this down. At step 2, I actually spend 5 minutes to show them how to do this correctly. And I'm telling them, do not do hospitality and tourism and business management administration, and it's still happening. So that's what I'm saying.
Could, in the application, I mean, if it's consistently, it's I would say that we could just originally show. Well, we did. The reason why we didn't is because we don't want to limit their options. But if they had the ability to move there and not go off SNAP benefits. But the other thing would be if we just showed, the options within 25 miles of them, in the application, so they don't have an opportunity to choose things greater than.
Right. I don't know how you guys can do it and still kind of work within the confines of what it is that we're trying to do. I was just saying that it's just still consistently something that, and it's part of my job, but it's still something, I'd hate to have people follow up a week later whenever they could have just been, well, there's nothing that interests me, and then opt out right then and there.
Right.
Because in the end, I know we're geared towards the training activities with the offshoot of if they, based on what we talked about before, that, and I kind of altered my spiel that I tell them that, we're mainly trying to get you a training certificate. You'll get to the CBO, they'll assess you, they'll go through trying to guide you towards that certificate, and if they can't, then they will try to veer left and try to get you full-time employment, self-sustainability, and go from there. But we're mainly looking at trying to get these people into training certificates for a career job, and that's the whole idea of what we're doing, and it just continues to be, I usually have one or two people that consistently, either they're not listening or they just do their own thing, or we kind of know our clientele and how that goes, so it's all over the place. But it just, I don't know if anybody else is experiencing it, but that's just pretty much how it is for me. I'm sure Chicago's got to be dealing with this on a wider scale since they have a lot more people. But
well, the same thing happens in Chicago that happens for you, Joseph, because Chicago has people spread out all over Cook County, and I don't know if you've ever looked at Cook County on the map, but
right, it's huge.
Somebody that lives I don't live very far from a border of Cook County, and it takes me an hour and a half to get to the Chicago office where orientation is done. So that's hour and a half traveling at 60 miles an hour sometimes. So if we could put in the zip code, like if you're looking at my screen where I've just picked Region 5, you tell them to pick Region 5, and then if we have a box right next to here, enter your zip code, and then it limits the programs. So like if my zip code is 62002, which I think is Alton, and so that would be nearer to St. Louis than it would be to Marion. So then I might only have one health science program available.
Or here's what I would suggest, that it would still show you all the programs, but it's going to show you the distance miles. It's going to say you're 5 miles, you're 50 miles, you're 80 miles, or whatever.
And we're looking at...
It would show the distance down here by where the program is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for us...
That would work.
I'm just trying to keep it consistent with what's on the eligibility review, like programming that we already have. That's the only reason why I suggested that. But.
Right. So with us, where Mantricon serves us in Williamson County, we have John A. Logan, which is literally 8 to 9 miles away for the majority of our county, unless you're living on the outskirts. And then we have Rend Lake College, which is about a good 25 to 30 miles down the road, that they have a couple different things they can send people to there. But that's it for us. Like, we have 2 different locations that they're sending people to that, looking at mileage and whatnot, it's whenever you get beyond that, if they were to put in ICANN's administrative support, that's going to be, for most people, 85 to 90 miles away, and that's your red flag. We're not going to send you 180 miles round trip.
Right.
Leslie, what region are you in?
There are 4. But it's, right now we don't have any. I guess we do. We can figure out which CBOs and which LEs they're in. Right now, all of our programming is by region. I'm not saying we can't do it, but if we can stay within regions and use zip code, it's just the way we currently have things programmed. Because there's so much other programming that we still need to do for the CBO side of it. Whatever we can, if we can solve this problem with minimal programming, then that's what I would prefer to do.
So I could see, so if Leslie is talking about, for example, the Quincy area, if they're actually closer to Peoria than they are to Quincy, is that what you're kind of saying? Could they use the CBO that's in Peoria versus the CBO that's in Quincy? Or the same thing like with Springfield versus Peoria. Maybe they're in...
Yeah. At one time we had talked, I think there's one that crosses over in that region, but, yeah, can CBOs be allowed to take residents not in the county they serve? So, yes, CBOs can take, these CBOs are EPIC CBOs, and they will take who has ever been assigned to them in the region. Well, okay, yes, within a certain degree. Because the CBO is going to help pay for transportation, and so, that's quite a haul from Decatur to Quincy, and so I don't know that anybody's willing to pay that much in transportation. So if they can move over there and still stay within, SNAP eligible, then that's fine. But that's why we tried to limit it to like 25 miles to have it something that, they're able to still afford, helping this person out with transportation costs.
Leslie must not be on the phone. She must be on computer speaker.
We're still waiting on finding out about the findings, right? That's still, sent up so we can kind of get information on that.
Findings, for the background check? Yep.
Right.
Actually, we've been doing some discussion with the evaluation team in SNS, and let's see if I have approval. Not yet. But we have talked to the CBOs about the drug test question and about the background wording and all that kind of good stuff. And so we had proposals for both of those questions, and we've asked the evaluation team for approval on those. And so once we get approval on that, then we'll start moving forward with that process. And then also we've made a request to streamline some of the other processes of the first part of the intake. And so once we get all that approved, then we'll make sure we make an announcement and then start making those changes. Because one of the requests was that we eliminate the NOCD from the intake, and so that's what we've made a request to do.
Yeah, that's going to be really great if we can get that fixed.
And so, hey, Leslie, too, if there's, if 25 miles won't, cover what it needs to be, then just let us know. Does it need to be 30 miles, or do we need to have increments of like 25 and 50? We're just trying to figure out how much people, how much the CDOs are able to provide transportation and so forth.
Because 30 miles in the country is different
About 60.
than
Yeah,
in the city. And
Alrighty. That'd be
last but not least, so that we can wrap this up, David Kubik is no longer with the Department of Commerce. So if you have issues with someone, a customer that you need enabled, please send your messages or requests to epic@illinoisworknet.com, and we will get someone, possibly myself or Natasha or whoever is available at the moment, we will get you taken care of. Okie doke. All right. Have a great rest of your day. I don't see anybody else typing anything, so have a great rest of your day. If you didn't get a chance to check in, did we answer whoever had the question about orientation tools and applicability review? Did we answer those for you?
If not, and you're on the phone, you're unmuted, so. Alrighty.
Okay.
Well, we shall post the webinar, and everybody have a great weekend.
Have a great day.